My name is Lena Brooks and I'm from a small town called Riverside just outside of Denver, Colorado. I'm a 29-year-old logistics coordinator at Hartman Supply Solutions, and for the past 4 years, I've been the kind of employee every company claims they want: punctual, dedicated, efficient. I've never called in sick. Never missed a deadline. Never been late. Not once in 4 years. Until the morning I had to choose between saving my father's life and protecting my perfect attendance record. I chose my father. My boss, Mark Turner, made me pay for it. But what he didn't know was that every decision has consequences, and his were about to cost him everything. I stared at the pay stub on my desk, reading the same line over and over. Bonus adjustment. Minus $1,200. Reason: attendance violation. My hands started shaking. That bonus was supposed to cover my father's medications for the next 3 months. I'd earned it. I'd worked 60-hour weeks, streamlined our entire logistics operation, and saved the company over $100,000 in shipping costs last quarter alone. One tardiness. 15 minutes. That's what this was about. I grabbed the paper and walked straight to Mark Turner's office, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. His door was open. He was leaning back in his leather chair, scrolling through his phone. "Mark, we need to talk about my bonus." He didn't even look up. "What about it?" His voice was flat, bored. "It says attendance violation. I was late once, 15 minutes, because of a family emergency." Now he looked at me, one eyebrow raised. "Rules are rules, Lena. Everyone has to follow them." My throat tightened. I was coming from the hospital. He actually laughed. A short, dismissive sound that made my blood turn cold. "Then you should have left earlier. Let me take you back to that morning. 3 weeks ago. January 15th. The snow had started falling around 5 a.m., thick and heavy. I woke up at 6 to my father's voice calling weakly from his bedroom. "Lena, something's wrong." I found him sitting on the edge of his bed, one hand pressed against his chest, his face gray. Panic shot through me. "Dad, what's happening?" Catch my breath. Chest feels tight. I knew what that meant. My mother had died of a heart attack 5 years ago. I grabbed my phone and called 911 while helping him into his coat. The operator said an ambulance would take 20 minutes in this weather. 20 minutes he might not have. "We're driving," I told him. I got him into my car, cranked the heat and pulled out onto roads that were barely plowed. My windshield kept fogging. My hands gripped the wheel so tight they ached. At a red light I called my office. HR picked up. "This is Lena Brooks. My father's having a cardiac emergency. I'm driving him to County General. I'll be a few minutes late." "Okay, stay safe," the HR rep said. The ER doors opened at 7:47 a.m. 13 minutes after my shift started. Nurses took him immediately. I stayed until they stabilized him. At 8:32 my phone buzzed. A text from Mark. "Next time plan ahead." My father, Frank Brooks, is 72 years old. He spent 40 years working construction, building hospitals, schools, office buildings. His hands are weathered and scarred, his back permanently bent from decades of heavy lifting. After my mother died, he developed heart problems. Stress, the doctor said. Grief does that to the body. He lives with me now because he can't afford his own place on Social Security. His medications cost $400 a month even with insurance. He never complains. He cracks jokes about getting old, calls himself a rusty toolbox, and always asks about my day. That evening after the hospital, while he rested on the couch with a blanket, he looked at me seriously. "That boss of yours, he give you trouble for this morning?" I told him about Mark's text. I shrugged. "He's just particular about rules." Dad's jaw tightened. "Don't let him push you around, sweetheart. You're worth 10 of him." I smiled and told him not to worry. But inside something was building. A quiet anger I'd never felt before. The next day I found an office memo in my inbox. All performance bonuses finalized by Mark Turner, regional manager. No appeals. The following Monday we had our monthly staff meeting. 15 people crammed into the conference room. Mark stood at the front with a PowerPoint about quarterly performance. He went through each department, praising people by name. "Kyle, excellent work on the vendor negotiations. Stephanie, your inventory reports were flawless. Tom, your efficiency improvements saved us time and money." He clicked to the next slide. Then he paused, looking directly at me. Some people think emergencies are excuses for not meeting expectations. Not in my book. If you can't maintain professional standards, maybe this isn't the right environment for you. The room went completely silent. Everyone knew he was talking about me. I felt my face burn. My coworkers avoided eye contact, suddenly fascinated by their notepads. If you're enjoying this story so far, please take a moment to like this story and also hit the subscribe button to get notified of our new series. Mark continued like nothing happened. But something inside me shifted. I wasn't embarrassed anymore. I was furious. And I wasn't going to just take it. Not this time. That night, I sat at my father's bedside while he slept. The hospital had sent him home with new medications and strict instructions to avoid stress. I watched his chest rise and fall, steady now, and felt tears I'd been holding back finally spill over. He'd almost died. And I'd saved him by getting him to that hospital. No ambulance would have made it in time. I'd done the right thing. The only thing. And Mark had punished me for it. My father stirred, opening his eyes. "You okay, sweetheart?" I wiped my face quickly. "Yeah, Dad. Just tired." He reached out and squeezed my hand with surprising strength. "You've done everything right your whole life. You're a good daughter. A good worker. Don't let that man make you feel small." His words settled into my chest like stones. Heavy. True. I kissed his forehead and went to my room. I opened my laptop and started going through old files. Project reports. Efficiency models. Shipping route optimizations. Everything I'd created over 4 years. If Mark wanted to play games, I needed ammunition. And I was about to find it. I spent 3 hours that night digging through shared drives and archived emails. What I found made my stomach turn. My quarterly efficiency report from last summer, the one that had streamlined our entire Southwest shipping route, was in Mark's presentation folder. But my name wasn't on it. The title page read, Regional Logistics Optimization Strategy by Mark Turner, Regional Manager. I opened the file properties. Original author, Lena Brooks. Creation date, June 14th. Last modified, June 18th by Mark Turner. He'd literally copied my work, deleted my name and presented it as his own. I checked another file. Same thing. And another. 5 different reports. All my work. All credited to him. My hands were shaking again, but not from fear this time. From rage. I took screenshots of everything. The metadata, the original drafts with my name, his edited versions. I saved them all to a personal drive. Then I kept looking. Because if he'd stolen credit once, he'd done it before. And I was going to prove it. The next morning, Mark's behavior changed. He seemed to sense something was different about me. Maybe it was the way I didn't flinch when he walked past my desk. Maybe it was how I'd stopped trying to explain or apologize. "Lena," he called from his office. "I need you to start CCing me on every email. Every single one. I want full visibility." "Sure thing," I said evenly. He started assigning me impossible tasks. "I need a complete audit of last year's shipping invoices by end of day." That was 3 days worth of work. I finished it in 6 hours and sent it perfectly formatted. "Rework this vendor contract. Too many errors." I went through it. There were 2 typos. I fixed them and sent it back within 30 minutes. Every time he tried to make me fail, I succeeded. And every time he edited my emails or reports to undermine me, I quietly logged it. Screenshots. Time stamps. Original drafts saved separately. He thought he was breaking me down. He had no idea I was building a case. A week later, Mark called me into his office with a concerned expression. False concern. I recognized it immediately. "Sit down, Lena. I want to talk." I set my face neutral. He leaned forward, hands folded on his desk. "I know I've been tough on you lately. But it's because I see potential. You could be really good at this job if you just applied yourself more consistently." I nearly laughed. I'd been applying myself for 4 years. "I push people I believe in," he continued. "That's just my management style. I'm mentoring you." Mentoring. The word tasted like poison. This wasn't mentoring. This was control. Domination. Making sure I stayed beneath him. "I appreciate that," I said quietly. My phone was in my lap, recording app running. He kept talking, digging himself deeper. "The thing is, I can't have HR thinking you're the reason my department's numbers work. They need to see strong leadership at the top. You understand, right? There was confession. I nodded slowly. I understand completely. He looked relieved. Good. I knew you'd get it. I left his office with evidence that would end his career. The rumors started spreading through the office like wildfire. I'd hear whispers when I walked to the break room. Lena's losing it. She's emotionally unstable. Did you hear she almost got written up? I knew where they were coming from. Mark was poisoning the well, destroying my credibility before I could challenge him. One afternoon I overheard two coworkers talking by the copy machine. Mark said she might not make it through probation review. I wasn't even on probation. I'd been there 4 years. But lies don't need truth to spread. They just need repetition. I went back to my desk and opened my email. There was a new message from Mark to the entire department. Reminder: performance reviews next month. Some positions may be restructured based on productivity metrics. He was threatening my job. Publicly. Subtly. But the message was clear. I closed my email and took a deep breath. He was trying to make me quit. To run. To disappear quietly. But I wasn't going anywhere. Not until justice was served. 2 weeks later, corporate sent a new HR representative to our regional office. Her name was Kara Mitchell, late 30s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense demeanor. She spent her first week reviewing employee files and sitting in on meetings. On Friday afternoon she stopped by my desk. Lena Brooks. I looked up. Yes. Can we talk privately? Just a routine check-in with all staff. We went to a small conference room. She closed the door and sat across from me. I've been reviewing personnel files. You've been here 4 years, correct? Yes. Perfect attendance until January 15th. Then one tardy 15 minutes, and your bonus was completely removed. She looked at me directly. That's unusual. Most companies have progressive discipline. Warnings before financial penalties. What happened that day? I told her. The hospital. My father. The emergency. She took notes, her expression unreadable. Then she said something that changed everything. I reviewed your file. You've never had a single tardy before that day. Something's off here. She paused. Corporate's auditing all attendance-related bonus deductions next month. Just so you know. The way she said it, pointed, deliberate, told me she was on my side. The audit email arrived on a Wednesday morning. I wasn't supposed to see it, but Mark accidentally replied all to a corporate request. Please provide documentation for all bonus adjustments made in Q1, including justification and supporting attendance records. Mark's response sent to everyone. We'll compile and send by Friday. 20 minutes later I was called into his office. He was sweating slightly, his collar loosened. Lena. This audit thing, it's just routine. Nothing to worry about. I said nothing. He cleared his throat. The thing is, one tardy looks arbitrary. It would look better if we adjusted the record to show a pattern. Say you were late 3 times. Makes the bonus deduction more justified. I stared at him. He wanted me to help him lie. To falsify records to cover his vindictive decision. Let's just say you were late 3 times, he repeated. It'll look better for both of us. I spoke carefully, every word measured. I'll send corporate the truth. 1 tardy. 1 emergency. That's all. His face darkened. That's a mistake, Lena. Maybe, I said. But it's an honest one. I walked out. The war was official now. Mark's retaliation was immediate and vicious. He cut my project hours, reassigned reports I'd been working on for weeks, and started excluding me from meetings. He was trying to make me invisible. Irrelevant. But Kara kept sending me quiet messages of support. Document everything. Save your original work. Stay calm. One afternoon, while reorganizing files, I found an unedited version of a PowerPoint presentation Mark had delivered to corporate last year. The opening slide had my logo, a small design element I always used on my reports. In Mark's final version, that slide was gone, replaced with his name and title in bold letters. But this archived draft still had my watermark. Proof that the entire presentation had been built on my work. I saved it, backed it up, added it to my growing collection of evidence. Mark thought he was erasing me from the narrative, but I was building a documentary of his theft. Every file, every timestamp, every stolen idea. The truth doesn't disappear just because someone tries to bury it. Corporate announced a surprise visit. Daniel Reed, VP of Operations, would be conducting performance evaluations across all regional offices. The email landed on a Monday. Mark went into overdrive. He started micromanaging everything, snapping orders, demanding perfection. I want every report polished, every desk organized, every client interaction documented. He was terrified, and it showed. Meanwhile, I stayed calm. I worked late, finished every assignment flawlessly, and kept my head down. Then on Wednesday afternoon I received a direct email from Daniel Reed himself. Subject: Private meeting request. Body: Ms. Brooks, I'd like to meet with you privately during my visit next week. Please confirm your availability. This is separate from the general performance review. My heart raced. I replied confirming Thursday at 2 p.m. That night I organized every piece of evidence I'd collected. Daniel wanted to talk. I was going to make sure he heard everything. The meeting took place in a small office away from Mark's department. Daniel Reed was in his 50s, gray-haired, with the kind of calm authority that comes from decades of experience. He gestured for me to sit. Ms. Brooks, thank you for meeting with me. Of course. He opened a laptop and turned it toward me. I've been reviewing archived project data from this region. Your name keeps showing up in file metadata and original drafts. But when I look at official reports, they're filed under your manager's name. My breath caught. He'd already found it. Can you explain this discrepancy? He asked. I could have played it safe. Could have deflected. Instead, I told him everything. The stolen reports. The deleted credits. The bonus docked for saving my father's life. The falsified records Mark wanted me to support. I showed him every screenshot, every timestamp, every piece of evidence. When I finished, Daniel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I'm not asking for revenge. Just fairness, I added quickly. He nodded slowly. You'll have it. 15. Daniel asked me to continue working normally while corporate quietly reviewed everything. Don't let on that we've spoken. Act like nothing's changed. It was harder than it sounded. Mark seemed to sense something was wrong. He watched me more carefully, questioned my work more aggressively. But he also kept digging his own grave. That week he submitted another report to corporate. A logistics efficiency proposal that would revolutionize regional operations. I recognized it immediately. It was my workflow redesign from 6 months ago, barely edited with his name plastered across the top. He'd gotten bold. Careless. Confident that no one would ever check. 2 days later, I received a CC on an email from corporate to Mark. Subject: Authorship confirmation request. Body: Please confirm authorship and original creation date of Q1 logistics draft. File timestamp shows creation date prior to your assignment to this project. Mark didn't reply immediately. I imagined him panicking, trying to figure out how to explain it. The net was closing. And he had no idea how bad it was about to get. 16. Mark scheduled a grand department meeting to impress corporate during their visit. He spent days preparing a presentation about his innovative efficiency strategies. The entire team was required to attend, along with Daniel Reed and 2 other corporate executives. Mark stood at the front of the conference room, confident and polished. His slides were slick, full of charts and graphs showing improved metrics. I recognized every single one. They were based on systems I'd designed. He clicked through slides explaining route optimizations, vendor consolidation strategies, and inventory tracking improvements. All my work. All presented as his vision. The team nodded along, some taking notes. Daniel sat in the back, expression unreadable. Then Mark got to a slide showing quarterly cost savings. Daniel's voice cut through the room, calm but pointed. Mark, can you explain this timestamp? The file shows it was created 8 months ago. But according to records, you only joined this specific project 6 months ago. The room went silent. Mark's confident expression flickered. That's probably just a metadata error. Files get copied and the original author field lists someone else, Daniel continued. Can you explain that? 17. I watched Mark's face change in real time. The confidence crumbled, replaced by panic, then desperation. He started stammering. Sometimes team members contribute drafts and I consolidate them. That's standard management practice. I refine the ideas, present them to corporate. So this isn't your original work? Daniel asked. It's collaborative, Mark said quickly. I oversee everything. The team supports my vision. I stayed completely silent, but every person in that room could see him unraveling. Daniel closed his laptop with a quiet snap. I think we've seen enough for today. Mark, please stay after. Everyone else, thank you for your time. My coworkers filed out slowly, exchanging glances. The mask had cracked. And everyone had witnessed it. As I walked past Mark, he avoided my eyes. His hands were shaking. That evening, Daniel sent an email to the entire department. Effective immediately, regional management structure under review. Continue normal operations. Updates to follow. Mark's office light stayed on until midnight. He was trapped. And he knew it. The next morning everything felt different. Mark didn't come out of his office. No morning walkthrough. No micromanaging. Just silence behind his closed door. Then around 3 p.m. he suddenly appeared at my cubicle. His face was red, his jaw tight. You think you're clever? He hissed, low enough that others couldn't hear clearly. You went behind my back. You sabotaged me. I kept my voice calm. I just told the truth. You had no right. I had every right to stop you from stealing my work and punishing me for saving my father's life. His mouth opened, then closed. For once he had no response. No manipulation. No excuse. He slammed his hand on my desk and walked away, disappearing into his office. The door shut with a bang that echoed through the floor. 30 minutes later, HR sent a department-wide email. All staff, please prepare written statements regarding project authorship and management practices for corporate review. This is standard procedure during restructuring evaluations. The investigation was official. And Mark had nowhere left to hide. Over the next week, corporate requested detailed documentation from everyone. Kara personally reached out to me. They want everything you have. Every file, every timestamp, every communication. I sent it all. Emails showing Mark editing my reports and removing my name. Metadata proving I'd created presentations he claimed as his own. The recording of him admitting he couldn't let HR know I was the reason his numbers worked. Kara reviewed everything and sent a follow-up. This is exactly what we needed. Your documentation is thorough and compelling. Other employees started coming forward too. Apparently, I wasn't the only one Mark had marginalized or stolen credit from. A pattern emerged. Mark had spent 2 years systematically taking credit for his team's work while punishing anyone who might threaten his image. The evidence was overwhelming. 10 days after the investigation began, I received an email from HR. We appreciate your cooperation and patience during this review. Expect updates within the week regarding departmental restructuring and compensation adjustments. I forwarded it to my father. His response, I'm proud of you, sweetheart. 3 weeks after everything started, I received an envelope in my office mailbox. Inside was a check. Bonus reinstated, $1,200. Back pay for emotional distress, $2,500. Compensation adjustment, $1,800. Total, $5,500. There was a note attached from corporate HR. After thorough review, we've determined your bonus was improperly withheld. This check represents full reimbursement plus additional compensation for the hardship caused. We apologize for the oversight. I stared at the check, emotions flooding through me. Vindication. Relief. Justice. But I also felt something else. Closure. That afternoon the company newsletter went out. The headline read, Performance Policy Overhaul, All Bonus Adjustments Under Review. The announcement explained that corporate was implementing new oversight procedures to prevent arbitrary or retaliatory penalties. It didn't name Mark specifically, but everyone knew. That evening, a second envelope arrived at my apartment via courier. Inside was a formal letter on corporate letterhead. I opened it with shaking hands. Dear Ms. Brooks, we would like to extend an offer. My breath caught as I read the next line. They were offering me a promotion. Regional Logistics Head. Mark's position. With my name on it. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The offer letter was detailed and formal. Regional Logistics Head. Full management authority over 5 states. Direct report to VP of Operations. Salary increase of $30,000, comprehensive benefits package. At the bottom was Daniel Reed's direct line. Call me when you're ready to discuss. I called immediately. He answered on the second ring. Lena. I was hoping you'd call today. I don't know what to say. Say yes, he replied. We need someone with integrity in that position. Someone who actually does the work instead of taking credit for it. We've been watching you for weeks. The way you handled this situation, professional, documented, calm, that's leadership. What about Mark? I asked. Mark Turner has been reassigned to a satellite office in Grand Junction. Significant demotion. He'll be handling vendor compliance. No direct reports, no management authority. Effective immediately. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. Not for Mark, for what could have been if he'd just been honest. The position is yours if you want it, Daniel continued. We already know you've been running things quietly for years. Now it'll be official. I looked at the contract again. My name. My title. Everything I'd earned. I accept, I said. Good. Welcome to leadership, Ms. Brooks. The official announcement went out the next morning. Effective immediately, Lena Brooks promoted to Regional Logistics Head. Mark Turner reassigned to Grand Junction Office, Vendor Compliance Coordinator. I arrived at work to find people congratulating me. Some seemed genuinely happy. Others looked nervous, probably wondering if I'd remember how they'd treated me. I wasn't interested in revenge against them. They'd just been surviving Mark's toxic management like everyone else. Around 10 a.m. Mark appeared on the floor. He was clearing out his office, carrying a cardboard box of personal items. People avoided eye contact as he walked past. When he reached my desk, he stopped. Our eyes met for the first time in weeks. His were red-rimmed. Exhausted. I didn't know, he said quietly. About your dad. About the hospital. I looked at him steadily, my voice calm. You never cared to ask. He flinched like I'd slapped him. For a moment he seemed like he might say something else. An apology maybe. Or an excuse. Instead he just nodded once and walked away. I watched him leave through the front doors, box in hand, and felt nothing. No triumph. No anger. Just the quiet satisfaction of knowing the truth had won. Kara appeared at my cubicle, a faint smile on her face. You played that perfectly, she said. I just told the truth, I replied. Sometimes that's all it takes. That weekend I celebrated with my father. We went to his favorite diner, the one with the massive breakfast platters and coffee that tastes like it was brewed in 1975. He sat across from me, healthier now, color back in his cheeks. Regional Logistics Head, he said, shaking his head in wonder. My daughter, the boss. It's still sinking in, I admitted. You earned it. You stood up when it mattered. That takes guts. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Your mother would be so proud. I felt tears prick my eyes but blinked them back. Thanks, Dad. We ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then he asked, what about that Mark guy? You think he learned anything? I considered it. Maybe. Or maybe he'll just resent me forever. Either way, it's not my problem anymore. Good, Dad said firmly. You focus on doing the job right. That's all that matters. He was right. Mark's bitterness wasn't my burden to carry. I'd fought for fairness and won. Now it was time to lead with the integrity Mark had never shown. The kind of leadership I'd wished I'd had all along. Monday morning I moved into my new office. Corner space, windows overlooking the city, door with a nameplate that read, Lena Brooks, Regional Logistics Head. I stood in the doorway for a moment, taking it in. 4 years ago I'd started here as a junior coordinator. Now I was running the entire region. I unpacked slowly, setting up my desk. The first thing I placed was a framed photo of my father, the one from his 70th birthday where he's smiling wide, wearing the ridiculous party hat I'd bought him. He looked healthy, happy, proud. Next to it I placed a small plaque my father had given me last week. It read, Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. That afternoon Daniel called. Settling in? Getting there, I said. Good. I wanted you to know, we're implementing your workflow redesign company-wide. The one Mark tried to pass off as his own? Corporate wants it rolled out across all regions by Q3. I felt a surge of pride. Really? Really? Your efficiency model could save the company over $2 million annually. We should have recognized that a year ago. Better late than never. After we hung up, I sat back in my chair and looked out the window. The city stretched out below, busy and alive. Somewhere out there, Mark was starting his diminished role in Grand Junction. I didn't wish him harm. I just hoped he'd learn something from this. But mostly, I didn't think about him at all anymore. 6 months later, I found myself driving the same route I'd taken that snowy January morning. Dawn was just breaking, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. The roads were clear now. Spring had arrived. My phone rang through the car speakers. That morning, sweetheart. You up early? Heading into the office. Big presentation today. How's work? He asked. I thought about the question. 6 months ago, work had been humiliation, stolen credit, and punishment for doing the right thing. Well, better than ever, Dad. Actually, it's pretty great. We talked for a few more minutes before I pulled into the parking lot. As I walked toward the building, I passed the spot where Mark used to park. Someone else's car sat there now. Inside, my team was already gathering for the morning briefing. They looked at me with respect now. Not fear. Not resentment. Respect earned through fairness and competence. I thought about that morning in January. The choice between my father's life and my perfect record. I'd made the right choice then. And every choice since had led me here. To a position where I could lead with integrity. Where hard work and honesty were actually rewarded. Where saving the person you love didn't cost you everything. Mark had docked my bonus for being late. But he didn't know where I was coming from, both literally and figuratively. He didn't know the strength it takes to choose love over fear. To fight for what's right when it would be easier to stay quiet. Now I work for people who understand that. And I make sure my team never has to face what I did. That's not revenge. That's justice. And it tastes like victory every single morning. The end.